Welcome to Hook Potential, where we go over the opening sections of a game and figure out if the opener is good enough to hook you in and keep you playing. For this, I've played through the first hour of Metaphor, ReFantazio, the brand new game by Atlus, the developers of Persona, a game that shares many of the mechanics and visual style of the Persona and Shin Megami Tensei series, but set in a brand new fantasy universe. When watching a new long-form TV series, I usually give them an episode to hook me in, and for shorter pieces of media such as animated series, which range from 20 to 30 minutes in length, I may give them 2 or 3 episodes to see if they can hook me, so I figured giving an hour to a video game might be the fairest approach. If you'd like to see the full gameplay video for the opening hour, you'll find a link to that video in the description box below. ReFantazio doesn't waste time. That's the first thing I can say about this game. From the opening cutscene, we already know the source of the conflict and the status quo at the start of the game. The king is dead. And the prince is also out of the picture. And we even know who's responsible for it all. A dashing blonde man with horns and quite the attire. And upon starting the game itself, we're swiftly introduced to our main character and his fairy companion. Our main guy, Traveling Boy, as he's more or less referred to early on, is an Elda, one of the 9 tribes or species that make up this world, and they're on the most bottom of bottom rungs. People hate them on sight. This is a world of intense racial discrimination, where people are referred to tribe first, then as individuals, and where being part of a certain tribe means you'll be mistreated. In fact, it's so bad that being part of what is generally considered a lesser tribe means people will even blame you for anything bad that happens, such as monsters showing up or even a bad harvest. Traveling Boy has a bit of a bumpy ride on the way to the main capital, and we have a mission: join the army and beat up with a contact. And on the way we get the first bits of gameplay, how to move about and run around the cities and on the field. There are also some of the first monsters to be found on the way to the capital, but you are so pathetically weak that fighting any of them is bound to end pretty badly. We also meet our first party member, though it takes about 15 more minutes for him to do any introductions. Leon Stroll, son of a minor noble wishing to join the army for idealistic reasons, to change the country for the better. On my playthrough for the main character, I simply chose, I'm here for the money, when prompted for the reason to join the army. As a member of the worst of the tribes, according to most people, I figured in roleplay that anything inspirational would get summarily ignored or even mocked. But with the recruitment complete, our character travels northward to a border fort where the training will take place. But as you may have surmised already from the way even the opening journey was like, this is another bumpy ride. Though this time it's because the fort is under attack by monsters, and by the time you get there, and this is about 40 to 50 minutes into the game, we find no survivors. Or we find them just before they stop being survivors. And some of them of course blame our elder protagonist for all the misfortune. But the most intriguing thing for me is that the monsters are wild and varied, from a dog monster to a chicken-like thing with very burly human legs and still partially in its shell, to straight up loose teeth with faces. Not only that, but at least one of them, the one you know is the big boss of the section, a wild creature with multiple bladed limbs and head wings, with a proboscis-like tongue and literally hanging fruit, plus a lot of, well, balls, is referred to as a human. And this just sparked wild theories in the dark recesses of my mind. But that means that within the first hour you get the gist of the setting, some elements of the main story, and the core gameplay loop, and might even see the start of the first major boss. I think that's amazing for a game, especially a narrative-heavy one like a JRPG. There are many titles out there where you have not seen combat until at least the second hour, but ReFantazio has a killer opening. And the big moment, you know what it is, the big Persona moment, where the character obtains the power he needs to actually accomplish anything, happens only a handful of minutes after the first hour mark. The combat will be very familiar to those who have played Shin Megami Tensei or Persona in the past. Every monster and even the characters have elemental weaknesses that can be exploited for follow-up moves. But here's where Fantasio makes a small change to the formula, preventing you from exploiting weaknesses in quite the same way as in Atlus's other series. Where in Shin Megami Tensei, your action or turn token is refunded when you exploit a weakness, in Metaphor you only get half a refund. Or to see it from another point of view, the turn is only half consumed and you have another go, but if you exploit a weakness again, you don't get a third action. At most, you can only ever get that one follow-up for the character. I think this is Atlus learning from Shin Megami Tensei 5's gameplay and evolving and balancing it all out. I do like that attacking enemies in the field doesn't just start the fight. No, you can lower their HP in real-time combat, and breaking their posture means that if you go into turn-based combat afterwards, which is optional by the way, the monster is stunned, has some damage on it already, and your characters get a free hit in. Oh, and the turn-based combat is really fast. The animations are swift, and someone who usually wants there to be a turbo button, you can blame the Trail series for getting me used to that, I didn't really think I needed one for Metaphor. And it's the same on the field. The main character dashes so quickly. Movement is a joy. It reminded me of the Wii U exclusive Xenoblade Chronicles X, where the character sprints like a madman and it made exploring the world not feel like a chore. Really like the speed of the game so far. Now for the important question, what's the hook potential for this opening? I'd say it's a fairly strong opener and a big hook. You get enough story elements introduced to grab your attention and your imagination, and on top of that, you get the core gameplay mechanics introduced and may even see the first boss, with the big dramatic moments only a handful of minutes after that. So with that, I grant Metaphor the golden hook. This game will keep you hooked and you will keep playing it, which is exactly what I did after I finished recording the first hour. I kept playing, and I'm gonna keep playing until I finish this game. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.